Well, I'm getting pretty lazy, aren't I? The last video was a remake of my favorite directors, and now I'm doing a remake of my all-time favorite actors. Because you see, the last time I did a list of my favorite actors, it was pretty inaccurate. It reflected more on who starred in some of my favorite movies rather than actual overall record of films I enjoyed. Well, that's how we're going to be doing it for this list. This list, I'll be ranking my actual favorite actors based on the more accurate way that I pick what actors are my favorite, based on how many movies I enjoyed from them, how good their performances are, and such. Of course, yeah, you get the idea. We'll try to keep this as good as possible. I'll hopefully don't think about remaking this again, so let's do this. Starting off with the big career comeback, Robert Downey Jr. We all, of course, know and love Downey Jr., mostly for his big career comeback he's had. Around the 90s, early 2000s, he kind of suffered through some alcohol and drug problems, kind of putting him through a lot of trouble, getting arrested and such. And then returned to acting with not only the big smash hit role we all know and love as Iron Man, but with a couple of other fun roles as well. Of course, naturally, everybody knows and loves Robert for his role as Iron Man. I mean, that's definitely his big defining role. It's a great one, too, of all the movies he appeared in as him and doing a great performance in every one of them. But I've seen a couple of his other films, and he's had some great ones as well. He's had fun movies like Sherlock Holmes, or Zodiac, or Chaplin, or his most recent Oscar winning role in Oppenheimer, which was pretty great. This man can act really well, not even just with Marvel, but with any role really he's assigned for. Maybe not every role of his is great, but the ones that are great are great because of him. Alright, so this is Jack Black. Jack Black is a funny actor. He's a comedy kind of role. His roles mostly consist of acting hilariously over the top in his comedy films. He's had a lot of great ones, I'll admit. His movies, fun roles include School of Rock, Tenacious D, Tropic Thunder, or Jumanji. I think Jack Black really is fun when it comes to his kind of humor style. The kind of comedies he makes are mostly reflect on him, being all over the top and loud talking, and it's fun seeing him do that. He's also a great singer. His talent mostly comes from his rock skills, mostly from Tenacious D or School of Rock, and I think that really adds to his kind of humor. Or of course, there's his animated roles, like in Kung Fu Panda or Mario movie. Those are some fun roles as well. I mean, I feel like Jack Black might be overcast a little too much at times. Whenever he is given a role that he's good at, I think he really does deliver in his roles. And I think that the way he acts in his comedic style, it's all sorts of fun. So, Brad Pitt. I'll admit, around its early years, I think Brad Pitt kind of had a rough start beginning. He began as more of a side role in most random roles, like he had a side character in Thelma and Louise, or one of his first major starring roles in Seven, which I enjoyed, even though Brad Pitt kind of started a little rough. But once he became a bigger actor, I think his acting skills got a lot more improved. I think like after the early 90s, around by the time the late 90s hit, he's gotten much better as an actor. His acting roles have gotten better in terms of, what roles he provides and what characters he's chosen to play. I think Brad Pitt does a good job at being chosen for the right roles. He can talk in all sorts of occurrences, whether he's being tough or country-like. That's kind of what he arranges from. Like, you hear him talk all tough in something like Fight Club, or you hear him talk all American-like in Inglourious Bastards. Overall, Brad Pitt's acting skills are weird, but I can appreciate them. And here's Robert De Niro. De Niro is often considered to be the most iconic actor out there because he has starred in so many roles. Many people want to hire him knowing he's a big actor. And I can understand that. I mean, because even when he is cast in random roles you wouldn't expect him to appear in, he does still deliver in those kind of roles. I mostly, of course, remember him for his Martin Scorsese career. Him in movies like Goodfellas, King of Comedy, or Taxi Driver, which was just okay in my opinion. Or, some of his other movies and other types. I think most of his career comes from collaborating with Martin Scorsese, but, when he's not collaborating with Scorsese, I think his other roles are kind of just side roles, like movies that people want him in because they know he's a big actor and it would make for fun in the kind of films. And personally, I kind of like that. I think he's a good example of having a serious actor be placed into any comedy style you have. He works well in that kind of way. And I think that really adds to his kind of acting skills that do make him a very iconic actor. Bill Murray. Bill Murray is all sorts of laughs. I think every time I see Bill Murray in a movie, I know I'm going to have a good time with him. He starts off as a funny SNL star, and then when he transitioned to film, his movies became all sorts of fun. Like, once he's placed into a movie, you're ready to laugh. Like Caddyshack, Stripes, Ghostbusters even. It's every movie he would show up in. He's there to make sure you have a good time with his role. That's kind of the best way to describe his comedy. He always is there to make sure that the fun is there. Make sure everyone has a good time when watching him. So whenever he shows up in the movie, you're already laughing. Like, he hasn't even said anything, and already you know he's going to be good. And I think that he proves that pretty well, The best example of once you see him, you're ready to laugh. Oh, Bill Murray, he just has fun in styles. And maybe he has a downgrade in some of his roles, and maybe nowadays I feel he's kind of gone off the edge of being typecast in any way he can. I still appreciate him, and I still think his acting styles are really nice. Another fun comedic actor who can make you laugh when you see him, Will Ferrell has a great career of comedies as well. He starts off, again, on SNL, and then when he transitioned to film, he, again, added comedy to every movie role he was in. When you got movies like Elf, Anchorman, Step Brothers, Talladega Nights, he's one of the main reasons that movie is hilarious. And I like that, I like seeing a movie. I like his style because he's kind of the comedic relief in every film he's in. No matter what the movie is, he'll be there to make sure you have a good time. And it's kind of the comedy you get from him. The kind of comedy where all the other stars are funny, I guess, but he is beyond hilarious in his role. I mostly like his way his voice is. The way he yells in most times, or when he just acts all crazy. I think that's his best kind of comedy, being all crazy and acting loud, and also having a childlike innocence in his roles. I think that's kind of the best way to describe his humor, because like every movie he's in, he's either yelling a lot or acting childish a lot. It's definitely the best way to look at him, and I like seeing an actor that does that. That's kind of what I love about him, his way of being childish and crazy. Alright, now to the comedies. Let's look at someone serious. Harrison Ford is amazing at what he does. He has a lot of great acting roles in terms of what kind of person he likes to be. Whether it's the action role of Star Wars, Blade Runner, or Indiana Jones, or just a serious role like, those movies even. Harrison Ford really does provide some fun. I think it's mostly his action roles that work, but he's always a good choice to play an action hero, somebody who's always up for the challenge, always has that cocky attitude, and is always there for his chances. And those are always the best roles he provides in it. Like every character he is, he's that person. Like again, he has Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Blade Runner, Air Force, the Jack Ryan films, some of them. Harrison Ford is pretty great towards the way he does his stuff. And I think when it comes to great action stars, he is definitely up there. I'm looking for someone who can do great at action. I know who to look at. A couple of people. But definitely Harrison Ford is one. Alright, back to the comedies. Jim Carrey is somewhat of a comedy legend. Everyone says his movies are some of the greatest comedies, and I personally cannot blame them, because I agree. Jim Carrey's comedy movies are always fun for him. Ace Ventura, Mask, Liar Liar, Me, Myself, and I don't know why I picked that one. That was okay. I'm just trying to name as many comedies that come to my head, trying to name good ones, and there's a lot out there. His comedy was great from around his time beginning. Around the 90s was when he took off, because in the 80s when he started, he wasn't as funny, but once he became big in the 90s, he certainly became big. Every comedy he was in, he just was there to give us the laughs we deserve. He's like always doing cartoony movements, cartoony talk, always talking fast and crazy, kind of like I do. I talk fast. I like to be like him, He's a great inspiration for comedy. If I'm looking for an inspiration in comedy, there's a lot of people I go to, but Jim Carrey is probably the main one. I think if you're looking for a good inspiration to be funny, you got Jim Carrey on your side. So, Bruce Willis. I had a hard choice picking where to place Bruce Willis on this list. I eventually landed on having him be second because I think he's pretty much had a great career up his hand. And I think his style is nice too. Because when he started off in more forgotten, not too well roles, he then quickly took off to become much more of a big action actor in Die Hard. And the best way to describe it is no one thought he'd be good in that movie. When he was announced to play him, we all thought, why? But then he proved to portray it pretty well. And then he got into a bunch of other movies, and I think he really took off in those roles. And I like that even if though he does have a career of not very good acting roles, the roles that are good definitely can help make up for it. Nowadays, he's not really acting anymore. He's kind of had a bunch of health struggles, but I'm glad to know that he has a great acting career upon him. And because of that, I think because of how great his great roles can balance out from the not too good roles, that kind of helps make him such a fun actor. That's kind of just what I made him think of him as this good, him able to balance out his bad acting with his great acting. Yeah, of course, I still think Tom Hanks is the best actor of all time. And it's because I've kept seeing more of his movies. I keep rewatching more of his films, and every role he's fun. He has a great talent. I don't think I've seen one movie of his yet that proved to not be good. I mean, I guess there could be some out there, but from what I've seen, I haven't seen one yet. Maybe I'll come across one eventually, but for now, not one role I've seen him in was bad. They all worked well in their own way. Whether it's the comedic Tom Hanks from the 80s or the serious Tom Hanks from the 2000s and 90s, there's all sorts of Tom Hanks you can get from this guy. This guy, every role he's in, he's always playing someone different. Whether he's someone funny, someone serious, someone real, he's somebody everywhere. And the way that Tom Hanks can make every character believable, it's just amazing. So, eventually, maybe I will come across a role that's not good. But even if I do, that's not going to make any difference because he still has a lot of great roles. And considering how I've seen a lot of his movies and not one of them was bad, I think that's a pretty good roof. And that's about it. Yeah, I know. Short, wasn't it? Well, till the next time, we'll be looking at my favorite actresses of all time. And see how that goes. Maybe.